Picture it, it's 1970, and our beloved Volkswagen Beetle is having a kick-ass year. I think 70 was the best year in sales for our Beetle, and things were looking up at some point. But I think once the 71 Super Beetle came in, 72, 73, and then once we got to 74 and 5, and fuel injection came in at 75 and onward, things were starting to decline for our beloved Beetle. Eyeballs were changing and shifting away from the air-cooled Beetle and into the water cooled, aka Golf, Rabbit, that kind of thing, front engine vehicle that Volkswagen was starting to push out. What could Volkswagen have done to give more life, more legs, more longevity for our beloved Beetle? So picture it. We got a time machine. We're Marty McFly. If we can go back in time to the 1970s and storm into those Volkswagen offices and say, I have a better plan here to give more life to the Beetle, what would it be? What would we change to give life to the Beetle? How would we save the Beetle? And that's the subject of this video today. I'm actually going to ask this question to you guys. I want you to leave comments in the comment section below. I'm no engineer. I'm not in the ins and outs of the government regulations of things and what was going on behind closed doors, why they had to transition out of certain things. I'm just an outsider, a casual person like you that's looking in and also hindsight to say, oh, maybe if they would have did this or did that, maybe the Beetle would have lasted a little bit longer. Because I think even by that time, once that fuel injection stuff was coming in, it seemed like everything was an afterthought when they were putting it into that engine compartment. I mean, look at the size, look at the monstrosity of what's stuffed into that engine compartment. It just seems like they were knowing the writing was on the wall and that the car was on its way out. We just got to do this to abide by the government regulations. And then once we hit a certain time frame here and sales dip below this certain amount, we're out of here. And we're going to say goodbye to the Beetle. So I'm going to get behind the camera now and show you some website pages here of what you guys think, what we could have done to make the Beetle last longer. Leave your comments in the comment section below. If you worked for Volkswagen back in the day, if you have some insider knowledge, we'd love to hear it. I almost wanted to make this a live video so we could have had live streams coming in from you guys and asking questions and throwing out ideas there. Just a little fantasy I had one night, and I said to myself, yeah, you know, if I had a time machine that went back in time, could we have given them some ideas to give life to the Beetle? So let's get to it. So this information came across my desk today, and I can't believe it. It's 50 years since the VW Golf walked into our lives here, and Rabbit here for the American market. And this was the water-cooled new car, boxy looking thing, and it was a front engine car that in essence pretty much killed the Beetle. It's still very popular, still got a good following, and I heard it, you know, it sold very, very well, that car. So people really were gravitating towards it and getting more into that boxy look and maybe getting out of the rounded look that the Beetle had. So you guys tell me, I mean, what could they have done to maybe bring a little more life into the Beetle? I'm thinking, you know, what if they used the chassis from the Golf and put the Beetle chassis on top of, I'm sorry, the Beetle shell on top of that chassis? Would that have made a difference? Could they have used the existing chassis and keep with the Super Beetle, right? You know, the Super Beetle does have a bigger nose, a bigger trunk area. Could they have put a water-cooled engine in the front or the frunk for the Beetle to give it a little more life? But then where would you put the gas tank? Some cars in the past, man, they put them under the back seats or something, or could they have put it in the back hatch area where the engine was and put it back there somewhere? Or do you need a trunk? You could have had the trunk back there. Could it have been a flat motor and you maybe have like a kind of some trunk space above? I don't know. Kind of like a Type 3 in a way. Or do you do a complete redesign of the Beetle shell to go again on top of that Golf chassis? Something to think about, to ponder, to talk with friends about. Again, I am no expert on this. I'm just throwing it out there to you guys. But what just, I think, drove people away was the fact that the Super Beetle, once they got to this fuel injection here, like you see, I mean, they're difficult. They can be finicky to work on. They're coming into my shop now for repairs, and that's what's kind of on the road now, what people are driving, as far as a classic vehicle. And it's just, they're finicky, those things. If they sit a while, those injectors get all gummed up, and you got to source parts from specialty places and that kind of thing. So that's why a lot of people convert them back to carbureted engines. So it just seems like everything was very much an afterthought. Like they put this hose here over here, part of the air cleaner or something, and they just the way they bent it and angled things, and it just looks like it's thrown together. But some people swear to me that, hey, this was all by design, and then they made a great engine from 75 onward. But to many people, it's left a bad taste in their mouth. So, what should they have done to get rid of it? I mean, I do like the way the Mexican Beatles went about the fuel injection. They got rid of all of this stuff, went with throttle body, and simplified that whole the engine compartment. And it just was, they kept it simple. Could they have kept it simple? But again, the Mexican Beetle did not pass, United States regulations for emissions. So could they have gotten an engineer in there or somebody in there, EPA standard wise, and fixed that to make it, regulated to make it clean? I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert in that area, but that would have been very, very cool because look, the Beetle in Mexico lasted until 2003. That is a long ass haul for the old looking Beetle to keep going. So, gosh, it just troubles me to think that there could have been way more life in our beloved car, longer than 1979. So this did some Google searches, and you see here, by the mid 70s, the Beetle had lost its way in America, gaining upscale features that were at odds with its honest and humble persona. VW stopped selling Beetle sedans in the U.S. after 1977 and halted convertible sales during 1980. So, low sales numbers at that time. I know a lot of them today are doing very well on the auction market if they have low mileage. Um, I've seen some auctions on Bring a Trailer where some of those 79 Super Beetles are bringing in 50, $60,000, but never been restored, and they only have maybe 1,500 miles on them or something. Uh, yeah, so a lot of dealers actually back in the day held on to those cars because they knew they were the last of the Beetles, and they kept them in their dealerships. So we've gotten some cars that actually came to our shop that only had like 100 or 200 miles on them, but they don't run right. You definitely got to work on them. They've gotten gummed up over the years. So events gradually overtook the 1970 to 1997 Volkswagen Beetle. The beloved bug would be regulated out of existence. That's basically what it came down to, is that the emission standard, just would not pass emissions in many countries. Some countries still allowed it, again, like in South America. They allowed that. But by the mid 1970s, the Beetle had lost its way in America, gaining upscale features. So I read that before. But guys, I'd love to hear your comments about what Volkswagen could have done to save the Beetle and to make it go on longer. Could they have converted it to a water cooled and front engine? I do see those custom jobs that are at car shows today. So there was that possibility. If a guy from home with his own shop can do something like that, why couldn't the big boys do something like that? So very, very interesting. Kind of crossed my plate, crossed my mind. Somebody asked me this interesting question, like, why the hell did it end in 79? And I just feel like, Volkswagen threw their hands up in the air and went with the Golf, uh, the water cooled little brother, sister, whatever you want to call it, which is still popular today. Now, even when it comes to the new Beetle, I had a 2013 Beetle and a 2016 Beetle, and it's really funny. I found this article here. It says, here are the VW Beetle years to avoid. And if you come down here, here's the quick answer: 2000, 2001, 2003, 2004, 2006, 2007, 2009, 2012, 2013. Why? What the hell is wrong with them? It says a lot of them, have engine and transmission problems, and they start to get costly when it comes to uh, fixing them. So again, did Volkswagen just start getting away from the people's car, the car for the average guy to fix? That's what was so charming about the bug, is that we could have fixed it in our driveways. And I think Volkswagen, was getting away from that maybe. and starting to leave bad taste in the mouth. Of course, it was the Dieselgate thing that happened as well a few years ago. I had a 2016 Beetle, which was pretty cool. That was a turbo and it was the 4-cylinder, pretty cool car. And then when it comes to the new Beetle, I mean, I like the styling of it, but that also fizzled out. And then part of the what I felt with that car was that they didn't retro it enough. I felt like the new Beetle should have had more throwback to the old Beetle. And because the old Beetle, if you see that, I mean, look at the charm of that car. There's chrome accents on it, and they just could have made it more charming in a way and affordable. I mean, some of those, souped up Beetles were pretty expensive. A base model Beetle wasn't too bad, but unlike say the Mini Cooper, this thing's still going. And I had a Mini Cooper about 15, 16 years ago. That was a hell of a car. And I think what's charming about the Mini Cooper is that it's still more of a throwback to the old Mini Cooper. So I see these on the roads constantly, and there's a lot of quirky things on these cars. They handle really well. Number one, I mean they're solid cars, but they are expensive to repair. But inside the car, the speedometer dial's huge, and it's just got a lot of quirky characteristics of it that still keep this alive, unlike the Beetle. So yeah, I don't know, guys. Just throwing that out there for you. This is just a different video. I know I've saved, when I mean save the Beetle, yes, I've restored many Beetles and I've saved them from the junkyard or rusting away. But I'm meaning like if we're able to go back in time in a time machine and fix things, could the Beetle have lasted? Or was the writing on the wall anyway and all by design was to fizzle it out anyway? Would love to hear your comments in the comment section below. And yeah, guys, let me know what you think of this. Maybe next time we'll do a live feature of this so we can have you guys live chiming in and giving your insight. Again, I'm just an average guy. I only know one car, the Beetle. That's it. And I wish things could have been different. Maybe the thing could have lasted a little bit longer. But anyways, guys, that's it. Please be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.